Are we losing? We have witnessed over the last few days the loss of liberty. We have seen how serious the attack on the Constitution is, how this idea that our elected officials are sworn in to uphold our freedoms, uphold the Constitution of the United States. And we have watched and have witnessed how that is being dwindled every single day through every department. Now scandals, now more coming out of the EPA, who has, this seems like a silly thing, but has targeted conservative groups that have requested information under the Freedom of Information Act by charging them fees for that information, while the liberal organizations, they have not charged and they have gotten the information to them immediately as opposed to making them wait. Now that's beginning to come out. That came out yesterday. This IRS thing, I think that Becky Garrettson, who spoke yesterday, listen to this. It's clip one, Devin. She's exactly right and why we should be concerned. Go ahead, Devin.
In Wetumpka, we are patriotic Americans. We peacefully assemble. We petition our government. We exercise the right to free speech. And we don't understand why the government tried to stop us. I'm not here as a serf or a vassal. I'm not begging my lords for mercy. I'm a born free American woman, wife, mother, and citizen. And I'm telling my government that you've forgotten your place.
Now listen to clip two. McDermott, go ahead.
Oh. None of your organizations were kept from organizing or silenced. We're talking about whether or not the American taxpayers will subsidize your work. We're talking about a tax break. If you didn't come in and ask for this tax break, you would have never had a question asked of you.
Come on, did he really say that? I mean, did he really say that? Well, so I guess the liberal organizations that applied for 501c3s and C4s, they weren't asking for the tax break? And they weren't subject to anything? I mean, do you realize I'm embarrassed for the guy, Jim McDermott. He's a representative, Democratic representative from Washington. I mean, I'm embarrassed for him. Jim, my heart goes out to you, man. I mean, it's a shame. And you know what? I'm embarrassed for all the people that voted for the guy. There are people in Washington that voted for this guy. I mean, that's embarrassing. And I think Paul Ryan was embarrassed for him as well. Go ahead, Devin.
I'm going to deviate from my original question in response to what I just heard.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome to Washington.
The committee will be in order. Ryan has the time.
We heard Gingrich. We heard Bush.
Mr. Chairman.
We had the former IRS Commissioner Schulman, who knew about the political targeting long before Congress was told, since implied that the organizations were responsible for the targeting because they chose to apply for tax-exempt status. So you're to blame, I guess, is the message here. We had the acting Commissioner Miller here a couple of weeks ago, and we asked him, did groups with the word organizing or progressive in their name, were they targeted? The answer was no. We do know, this is one of the facts we now know, people were singled out because of their beliefs.
Listen, folks, this is about the Constitution of the United States. That's what this is about. This is about the loss of liberty. This is about loss of freedoms. This is about loss of Articles 1, 2, and 3 of the Constitution and the separation of powers. This is power gone amok. This is an abuse of power. That's what all this is about. Do you really believe we are ever going to get to economic prosperity once again in this country when we have the abuses like this going on? It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. When we talk about productivity level, when I wasn't making a joke when I was talking earlier in the program about productivity level doing what it's doing, and it sounded like I was being sarcastic. I guess I was for a moment, but there was a lot of truth in it when I was saying things like, well, that's okay because it's going to bring us back to fairness and equality. economic fairness, economic equality. There won't be anybody to work for because everybody's going to be in the same boat. You're either going to work for the government or you're going to be standing in a bread line. Is that where we're headed? That's a Marxist statist regime. That's what that's all about. That's where we're headed. And we can see that it's permeated every single part of the government. I've been talking for years about the utter dysfunction in Washington, D.C. and on Capitol Hill, and now we're starting to see prime examples of it, and there's not outrage in the mainstream media over this. There is not the calling for, nobody is ever going to convince me that this doesn't go all the way up to Washington. Now, one of the things that we've got to be all about right now in the government is we ought to be about following this trail to find out where it leads, why it happened, who was responsible, who was told by whom to do what. And we better figure it out quick. I think we've all come to the conclusion that it wasn't a couple of rogue agents in Cincinnati. This goes directly to the financial, economic stability of the country because it goes directly to the dysfunction in Washington, where we are, that same Washington, expecting fiscal policy that is going to get us on the right track to back to an America that was built upon economic prosperity and the God-given right to work hard and to earn to get us back to that. Let me go to Patty. Patty calling us from Ohio. Hey, Patty.
Hi, Dan. Good morning.
Good morning.
God bless you and your
Thank you.
ministry. It's wonderful. Thank you very much for your time and your concern